of all, welcome to all of you. Thank you so much for coming today. I want to welcome our speakers and thank them so much for all of the work that they do and that they're just taking time out on a Saturday to come here and be with us. Dr. David Limbrick is unfortunately not able to join us, but he has been truly a great partner for our foundation. He's on our board and has a leadership role, and we're really grateful to have him work with us, beside us, and lead the way as well. So we just changed our name to Bobby Jones, so a lot of people, if you're not a golfer, you have no idea who Bobby Jones is. He was really, truly an amazing man in his day. He was an amateur golfer, and he managed to win what's called the Grand Slam, which is 4 major events, and he's the only person in history to ever do that in 1 year. So Tiger Woods and all, they still haven't done it. He did it in his day, and he was an amateur. And he never became a professional because he felt that amateur means love of golf, and he never wanted to lose his love for the sport. There's a lot of facts on there about him. He was in the movies. He was one of 2 people to receive the key to the city in St. Andrews. Benjamin Franklin was the other guy. So truly an amazing man. But what's most interesting to us, I guess, is that he actually was diagnosed with Syringomyelia. And halfway through his life, he had symptoms from about 28 years of age, but he was diagnosed in 1949. And back then they used a myelogram to diagnose him, which is where you put dye into the spine and then kind of rotate your body to see what's there. And he went to the doctor, and he went to New York. And what they said to him is, there's really not anything we can do for you. So he spent really the last half of his life in chronic pain. He went from braces to a wheelchair and passed away in 1971. So why is that important to us? We don't really have a celebrity who's willing to come out and talk about that they have Chiari or Syringomyelia, and he was a celebrity in his time. We are hoping that through the golf world, we'll be able to gain awareness and funding to help us move our projects forward. So, your impact by the numbers. What do we do with your money when you donate? This is a lot of it. These are the projects that are successes. With a strong international reach, our programs are educating physicians and families while providing researchers a forum to advance projects through collaboration. This past year, we had our think tank meeting. It was in San Diego. We focus our work on new publications that come out because a lot of the doctors get to probably read the new publications, but they maybe don't get a chance to discuss them with the writer. So we try and invite cutting-edge papers to come and present at the meetings and then have a round table so that they can actually discuss the new findings. This year, for the first time, we did a really great job, I think, of a collaborative patient conference. It was held in Bethesda, and we worked with 2 other organizations because our thought was everybody keeps having their own conference, and that's kind of silly. Like, why can't we share the resources and invite doctors to come to 1 meeting and present to patients rather than to have to go to 3, and then they have to decide. So we teamed up with a dysautonomia and the Ehlers-Danlos Society and came together and brought researchers there to lecture to patients, which was great. But then the really great piece on this is the following day, we all went to Capitol Hill with 1 message and 1 voice to say to our Congress people, here's what we need you to fund. Here, this is what we suffer from. So it was a really wonderful day and celebration for collaboration. We have our, upcoming meeting in Bethesda. Now I'm going to pause on this. So We started with the consensus meeting, and now I'm going to deviate from my slides a little bit because this week everything sort of changed. So many of you have questions about Chiari Syringomyelia and related disorders that we currently are unable to answer. So we thought the best way to answer these questions is to actually create an international registry where you are in charge of your data and you're putting it in, right? And then we use that as a pool for researchers to find the answers. It makes sense, right? Rather than necessarily one institution who's working with one simple set of patients in their database, which is great, but this gives a bigger, wider scope and larger data. So we started to work on this registry, and we looked at, well, what platform is the best, which groups are the most successful with their registries, why are they the most successful, before we started building it. And when we got started on it, what happened was we realized that there was no common language for registries to talk to each other. And the NIH, National Institute of Health, and the NINDS, National Institute of Neurological Disorders and Strokes, said, we're starting to work on this common language, so when you put data into a registry, it can talk to the other registry. So a common language. We found out there's no language for Chiari Syringomyelia, so we stopped working on the registry and took 2.5 years to go back and create the common data elements for the NIH, the NINDS researchers and physicians around the country. We completed that project. They've been accepted. They're on the NIH website, National Library of Medicine, and that's the language that these people are using now for registry. So it was a great project, but it slowed us down 2.5 years. Now we put up our registry. We are using the common data elements, and we decided, okay, we're going to recruit and get people into the registry, but what questions do we want to answer right off the bat, right? So we got together and we asked patients, we asked physicians, what are the real questions that we should be answering? And when we talked to everybody, we found out that there was a lot of frustration with the current definition of Chiari. So right now, it's considered a cerebellar tonsillar position of 5 millimeters or greater below the foramen magnum. But that measurement does not reliably predict if a patient will have symptoms. Some people have no tonsillar descent and a ton of symptoms. Others can have huge measurements and no symptoms at all. And it becomes more complicated when you enter multiple diagnoses into the mix. So a better definition for what Chiari is became a priority with the group. So we started this task about April. We started a task of figuring out how are we going to go about doing this. So the group decided maybe we should use a Delphi method, have a consensus meeting, and bring the experts together to decide what's the best way to do this. And Delphi means that you have a system where it's a yes or no answer, and then you tally up the yes or no's and decide which everybody agrees on, which some people don't agree on at all, and which areas are just, we don't even want to talk about those yet because there's no consensus. And then you can attack each one. So that seemed like a great plan. So we started out by asking the major medical institutions like the American Association of Neurological Surgeons, the Congress of Neurological Surgeons, the American Society for Neuroradiologists, the American Academy of Neurology. So all the big medical groups. Who are the top people in your world for Chiari? Who are they? And they sent us a list back of 10 nominations for who they thought were the best representatives to talk about this area. We took all of those lists, and we included patient organizations too. So we took all of those lists and compiled them and looked at publications and how many votes they got from each group. So we came up with like the 11 experts who the group would deem to be people who would be great for this meeting. And then we had this working group. And the working group is from Chiari Syringomyelia Foundation, people who are on our medical board, staff, as well as some residents we got involved. And what our job was is to look at the literature. What's out there in publications? What do the publications say about the definition of Chiari? Right, so you're talking about this mass of papers. And then it was whittled down by Chiari, and then we went closer years to this, and we whittled it down to probably about 250 papers. So now that working group had to look at those 250 papers and decide what's the best evidence for the definition of Chiari. And what we found was it's not good. It's not good. So in the literature, they call it level 3 evidence, which means it's not great evidence. I'm just going to leave it at that. So now we decided, we have to go and provide some kind of evidence in a paper so that we can then go back to the consensus thing after we do this and come in with a baseline. So this week, this is going to be put on hold a little bit. We're still going to have the meeting because we still have to work on this publication. So what we're going to do is, looking at the varied opinions, we're going to try and standardize the opinions through paper and statisticians and all of that, and focus on criteria that's widely accepted by defining and treating Chiari in a landmark paper. So that's our goal. This paper should be a useful tool for surgeons, and they can use it to talk to their patients about and explain to them about their odds of improving after surgery. So what the peer project then does is we're going to write this paper, look at the opinions, and then we're going to use the peer registry to go back, which is you, and really find out, did we prove it or did we disprove it, right? Because you have to make sure that the facts come together. I'm losing my train here. That the conclusions that we reached in this paper match what we find in real life. So it's a big project, and this project is going to take probably 2 years or so again, and we need over 1,000 patients. And the cost till we hire the Delphi people, the statisticians we need, all of that, it's going to be over $100,000. So what we're asking from everybody out there is, will you please enter your data? You can be part of the answer. Enter your data in the Peer International Registry. Donate, do a walk, host a fundraiser, because it's a big nut for us to put out for one project. And realize that you are the key to the cure. And together, anything is possible. So that's my Chiari consensus part. These are just a few other things that we did. Hydrodynamic Symposium. This was in Oslo, Norway this year. What the goal of this group is to look at CSF flow dynamics and how it works in your system. And we invite mathematicians, physicists, neuroradiologists, and we say, well, where does that get you? Well, the neat thing is this guy right here, his name is Mikhail Popasov. He's from Harvard, and he just put out a new paper on how to deliver drugs through the CSF system. So through these meetings, a lot of work gets done and a lot of collaboration. Research Colloquium. So this is another project that's coming up in September. We're actually going to be in the UK at the Royal Society of Medicine, and the national health system over there is going to come to listen to good talks on how they can better and more rapidly diagnose people and maybe change the way surgical diagnoses are handled over there. So we're starting work abroad as well as here. The Colloquium is in the fall in San Francisco, and again, it's going to bring new papers in. We have a great lineup for physicians. If anyone wants to attend, we'd love to have you. And the Peer International Registry. So I'm going to invite Kaitlyn to come up at this time. Huh? Yeah, I'll let you talk just a little bit about it.
Okay, so she talked a little bit about what the Peer Registry is, but to go over it a little bit more, it's the first ever international patient and caregiver-driven online registry for patients with Chiari Syringomyelia and related disorders. We set this up through the Genetic Alliance on its peer platform for engaging everyone responsibly. What's really different about it is that you're in charge of your own data, you decide who sees what and when, and you can change it at any time. And you are in full control of whatever you share. So how? Why is it different? It bridges the gap between patient and provider, making everyone an active player in research. Physicians and researchers from all over the world will be able to request access to do patient-centered research with our international data set. Right now, I think we're hovering around some 600 people who are involved already. And the idea is that researchers from Bangkok, wherever, they are interested in Chiari, but they only have maybe 10 patients in their hospital system. The concept is that that researcher can come to us, they have to have an IRB already, and we will say yes or no, and then they can ask your permission to put you in their study as well. So that's the concept. So the idea is to create a previously unprecedented large sample of patients who have these disorders, where the biggest studies for now really only go up to about 300 people. So the idea is to have thousands. So what we're going to do is we're going to leverage big data to better understand these disorders, develop new treatments, and conduct further studies that have never been possible before. So how? Special consideration has been given to comorbidities. So generally speaking now, when people are studying Chiari or Syringomyelia, they're really studying those disorders specifically. But as everyone in this room pretty much knows, and anyone at home, if you have Chiari, generally speaking, you're going to have something else wrong with you. So a lot of people will have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, some people have dysautonomia, and right now those things are being treated as separate disorders, when in actuality we don't have enough information or data to tell us whether or not those things are different. So special consideration has been given to comorbidities to make sure we get all of that information from people who are participating in this registry so that we can know more about it in the future. Privacy, again, is completely in the hands of the patient and caregiver. Again, you can rescind your sharing at any time. It's completely up to you. And what's really important about it is that we use the 794 common data elements that we put together with the NIH, because we want to make sure that any studies that come out of this registry are able to be compared to others. So that way you get more and more statistical ability to better understand these problems. Also, it's the only international registry right now that exists specifically for Chiari and Syringomyelia. That was just this. So please sign up. We have pamphlets here, and I can send you, I don't have it's not on here. I could type it, but it's csfinfo.org/key-to-a-cure. You can go right there and you can start signing up right. I can help you because I'm here. And the idea is to have as many people in there as humanly possible, because the more people we have, the better vision we get of what these conditions are. And again, as Dorothy said earlier, we're going to be using it really soon, probably within the next couple months, to start a new study that is really important. It'll be used as a tool for patients who need help from physicians about whether or not surgery is going to do well for them in the end. So how well they'll do after surgery. We're going to develop that tool and validate it. So please sign up. If you need help, call me. My number is 718-966-2593. It's right there, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And my email is the same thing that's there, except it's Esposito. So just get in touch. Thank you.